Newcastle 2, Tottenham 3. The North Londoners really did ruin the party today. The party-like atmosphere, the festival, the carnival-like atmosphere and mood that was surrounding St James's Park and Newcastle as a city all week. And reality really hit home for the Toon Army today. They do need a new manager. For all the jokes aside around Brucey, isn't adequate enough at this level anymore. No wins this season for Newcastle United. And as we take a look at the bottom of the table, and it is important to focus on Newcastle because they're going to try and become a peer in the top 6, top 4 title races over the years. And we look here, they're sitting second from bottom on just 3 points, no wins, 5 defeats, 19 goals conceded. A new manager is needed desperately at St James's Park. And there are 12 EPL games to play before they can sign a single player. This is a torrid time for Newcastle. There is no doubt about it because they have this joy, this excitement of having new owners. But they do need to think about in the short term surviving and staying in the Premier League. And maybe that's the delay. Maybe that's the delay in the appointment of the new manager. They could be someone they have earmarked as this person's going to take us forward and create the next 3 to 4 years. But actually, is that person the right individual to take over this squad and gain us Premier League survival? Because with the current form of Newcastle, if they play like this in the next 8 games, they're going to have 3 to 6 points. Remember, 40 is the magic target they're after, and they're a long way away from even being able to put performances together to be able to win points like that, to win that amount of points and get the victories needed. So it's certainly a lot going on for them. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Of course, a very good win for Tottenham Hotspur today. They pushed themselves, we'll scroll up here, into 5th position in the league, and it's been such a topsy-turvy campaign for them so far, with a lot of focus from Tottenham fans being on, Nuno not being the right guy, not having the right style of football. But that's still 5 wins. Only Chelsea have won more games in the Premier League this season than Tottenham. Of course, 3 or 4 really poor performances from Nuno's team, but that's still 5 wins, and it puts them in a very strong position. Today, they looked more cutting edge, they looked more dynamic, and they worked very hard. And Ndombele in that number 10 position, for me, appears very, very inspired indeed. You can see his technical ability oozing through. You can see his sheer class as an individual player on display throughout the course of the game. As far as I'm concerned, it's Tottenham have got an outside chance of top 4 here. And I'll tell you why. Because Man United are going to stay with Ollie. Tottenham, West Ham, Everton, Arsenal, Leicester. They're my picks. Those teams all have a shot at a top 4 place this season. And Spurs right now, they may not be playing the best football. It may not be the most attractive football. But those 5 wins are absolutely massive. It really and truly is. I want your take. Do Spurs now, with Man United's woes, have an opportunity and have a chance of pushing towards that top 4 place, with seemingly there being an opportunity opening up? And what should Newcastle United do? Steve Bruce surely has to lose his job. They have to create some stability. Forget the future. Think about this season as an example. I don't think Newcastle can afford to go down. They want to go on a big shopping spree in January. Are they even going to be able to attract the right talent if they're sitting 10, 15 points away from safety in January? Will particular players, the likes of Anthony Martial, James Maddison, Philip Coutinho, they're all linked, will they truly fancy that if they're that far away? The most important appointment is going to be that director of football, getting a plan in place quickly, because this Newcastle team are absolutely dire. They are absolutely dire. No doubt about it. Sebastian here says John Joe Shelby and Steve Bruce will be who will be eliminated first. Hashtag Newcastle Squid Games. Maria Williams here, one of our members, says, to be honest, the score could have been more. Second half, we should have been more ruthless. Absolutely. I think you could have definitely scored more goals in that game. There we go. Make sure you're smashing that like button for us, please, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important that you get that done for us now. Give that a bit of a smash. Jerome here says, can clearly see we lack depth. Could not bring a sub on at all in this game. They played well, but Dyer had to ruin everything as always. Yeah, that was a terrible own goal at the end. Hamid says Newcastle will be relegated. They reek so much. Mohammed here says Spurs will bottle it somehow. Son and Kane, most goals as a duo in Premier League history. I think higher than Lampard and Drogba. That's an amazing statistic that I wasn't aware of. They just need to have some success at the back of that for it to really be cemented and mean something. But a very good achievement indeed. How is the fan that had the heart attack during the game? Well, it was reported as a suspected heart attack. The last update the Newcastle United gave is that he was stable and on his way to hospital. So fingers crossed that individual makes a full, fast and speedy recovery back to health. They are getting Conte, is what Sean said. I just don't see it. Apparently, they are getting hundreds of millions over the next 4 years. James, I know you remember that. Make that make sense. Expand on that comment. Who's getting hundreds of millions over the next 4 years? Please make that make sense. And what do you mean with that comment? Because it doesn't make any sense to me right now. People say Ndombele cannot play a full 90 minutes, but today he seemed to do it. I think he can if he plays regularly and he builds up that genuine match fitness. I thought Ndombele today was absolutely sensational to a man in that 10 role. I thought he was inspired. You can see his technical ability oozing through. A top player. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. And I think from a Spurs point of view, that's his position. If I compare that to when we watch him play in the deeper roles, head and shoulders a better player. Oh, Newcastle's transfer budget. Yeah, they will get hundreds of millions. There's no doubt. But they have to survive in the Premier League. Yes, I believe getting relegated adds 2 years additional onto everything they're looking to achieve. 2 years. That's going to be the most important thing for them to secure in the short term. No doubt about it in my mind. Steve Bruce, Man United legend, ready for a new job. I don't know what Newcastle. It might have been Kendall that tweeted it earlier, saying that if Brucey's done such a good job, why don't Man United fans want him? I laughed when I saw it. I feel a bit sorry for Steve Bruce. He isn't a good enough manager, and he needs to be sacked. Maybe I've misread it, and if a Newcastle fan wants to educate me, please do. But he got the job because nobody else wanted it, because the very owner you're celebrating not having. Like Steve Bruce is there, like almost like not even a default setting. He's not even a backup setting. You know, you needed a plumber because you've got a leaky pipe, but all you could find was a handyman, a white van driver. You know, one of them guys that just hires a van. He's not a removal man. He's not an anything. He just, whatever you need to use his white van for, he turns up. That's who's fixing your boiler, because that's all you could find. It's not, to a degree, it's not really his fault if you don't fix it properly. And that's why I think Steve Bruce is being unfairly treated. He isn't good enough for this level of football anymore, in my opinion. He cannot get Newcastle playing the football they want. He cannot get the best out of these players. But if that club was run correctly, it would never have been Steve Bruce that was given that position. So I do feel a little sorry for him. They need to move him on. That's one thing that they've got to get done over the course of this next week and a half. They've got to move him on soon. That would just probably keep the fans. Look, because when the fans were pumping today, Newcastle were playing better. As soon as that equaliser went in from Tottenham, you saw the mood dip, the mood drop, and the energy went. The players lost their heads. And, you know, Brucey just isn't good enough to get any more out of them, in my opinion. We have a super chat that came through here. This is from man like Reese that says Newcastle will get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Do you know what's interesting? I said this on the Friday night on the Terrace, and I stand by it. I've seen so much love, and I gave love to Newcastle fans for having this takeover. It was good to see good, honest, working class city have these owners take over. But, and there is a but here, I now want them to lose every game because they're a legitimate threat. And one Newcastle fan that I followed for a while was like, why do you feel threatened by us? Well, because you are a threat. And I'm talking on a sporting level. So I want to see Newcastle lose every single game they play now because they're a threat. And when they play well, I'll say they played well. When they're doing good things, I'll say they're doing good things. But what I say they're doing and what I want to happen are always different things. Liverpool right now are playing like the best team in the country, but I don't want them to win. Like you can ring fence those two thoughts. And I feel like there'll be a lot of players that will go to want to beat Newcastle because they know what's coming. There's also going to be a lot of players auditioning. It's a few of those Tottenham boys today putting in performances. Listen, new owner, watch me. I can make a Champions League team. So yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see that work out. Kane is clear of Ronaldo, is what Pep Guardiola's got to say. Yeah, Harry Kane back on fire. So I thought he was very, very good indeed. Performed well, took his goal well. Another assist for him as well. Newcastle need 200 million in Jan. They do, but there's 12 games before that. If they don't get that managerial appointment right, I'm telling you, look, if they're sitting on 10, 11 points come January, there'll be a lot of players that are going to say no. There will be players that will say no because it could be 2 to 3 years before they're pushing towards that place in the league they'd be joining for. It's so important to get this manager in now. And that isn't me trying to be salty or downplay it. I'm just seeing it as I read the game of football. And they get that managerial appointment right, start to improve, start winning some games now. They'll be fine attracting people in Jan. No doubt about it at all. I'm going to go to some calls now. I've shared the link on Twitter. I've also shared the link in the live comment section now if you want to come on and have your say. We have got a poll running as well. And the poll is asking, should Ndombele remain in the number 10 role? And 79% of you so far this evening have said yes. Ryan Madden is on with me next. Tottenham fan here to have his say. Bald Daddy. Yes, I am a father of 3 and I'm follically challenged. So good spot, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'll give missing persons. Missing persons have got to employ you, Colombo. There we go. Right, Ryan's here. We've been able to have his say. Smash that like and share button, people. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Terrace, mate. Good win for your boys. Give me your thoughts.
Expected, Terrace. It was an expected win. They are an awful side, Newcastle. The takeover is good for the club, obviously good for the city of Newcastle, but that's good for the outside of the club. Right now, they are a relegation side. They are battling relegation. And obviously, you just said a minute ago, they've got 12 games till January now. If they don't sign any, if they're still struggling come January, who's going to want to go to Newcastle? That's the sort of side they are. Harry Kane played well today, and Ndombele was superb in that number 10 role. That's his best position because he hasn't got to work as hard as he does in a natural centre midfield position. So he can receive the ball on the half turn, he can move the ball forward. That's his best position. Other than him, you've got Reguilon, who was brilliant down the left. Skip as the CDM, he was brilliant today as well. But like I said, I expected to go into this game to win this game. I'd have been really annoyed if we hadn't have won this game because it's just a poor Newcastle side. Take St. Maximin out on that side and Callum Wilson, then that's really, really bad. Newcastle, a definite relegation battling team. But we definitely took our foot off the gas come second half. We should have put the game away by the hour mark. Obviously let them back into it at the end, but no, it's a game you expect to win.
No, I totally understand that, and you should have done. And it could have been a banana skin because of the situation with the takeover, etc. But I thought you did very, very well to handle that. Kane, everybody looking good, but as you say, that they're a very poor team. Man United are struggling at the minute, and we absolutely smashed them. So it's hard to gauge whether corners have been turned. But you find yourself in 5th place, which, considering that horrible September you had, being in 5th place, you must be quite chuffed with that.
Not really. No, I don't see it getting any better than 5th place, to be honest. I don't see us getting top 4 or challenging for anything. He's doing all right. Obviously, the win against Villa was a good win. He's won again today, but like I say, when we come up against the bigger and better teams, that's where we fail. But fifth place now, obviously, when you look at it, the table, I think we're 4 points off top of the table, which makes it look a lot better than it actually is. But no, we're fifth, sixth, seventh. That's the sort of position we'll expect this season.
Fair enough, mate. Listen, I really appreciate you coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, Ryan. I'll speak to you again soon. Top man. Thank you. Thank you. Spurs fans not wanting to get ahead of themselves. Next up, Abdul's here with me, another Spurs fan on the terrace. What do you want to say, mate?
Thanks for having me. Great performance today. I thought today, like in the midfield, we were really controlling the tempo of the game. Yeah, we conceded 2 stupid goals, but like again, the Eric Dyer goal, that's just I don't know what that is. In the beginning, when we conceded in the second minute, our South American players, you can tell that they were leggy. You can tell that they just played like 24 hours prior. Emerson Royale having a stupid deflection that gave the ball back to Newcastle, and then they scored. And Christian Romero not seeing where Callum Wilson was, so it was a lack of concentration. But pretty much for like 95% of the game, our midfield played really well, and I think it's now clear as day that our midfield trio should be Højbjerg, Skip, and Ndombele. Skip played really good defending wise. Controlling the play from deep in the midfield. Højbjerg was, doing what he usually does. Harry Kane finally getting a goal. You got 2 goal contributions, which is great. It's great. We settle the nerves, and obviously right now we're 5th place, and like the previous caller said, I'm not gonna get too really ahead of myself, but it's definitely great that we're starting to see our true starting 11. Even though Dyer did make a mistake today, and he is not that great, I do think he is probably like our best center back to pair up with Romero. So it's great that we're finally starting to see like our true starting 11 going forward, and we now Nuno Santos should see that this is our best starting 11.
Yeah, and I get that. On that team, though, I mean, Emerson Royale, I'm kind of reading things that Spurs fans are posting during the game, watching it myself. Emerson Royale seems to be troubling people. Still massive concerns with Eric Dyer playing in this team. Like, what's your take on the likes of Dyer still being in the starting berth? Again, another mistake from him. Wasn't costly in terms of the results today, but there's just, with him, there's a mistake every 90 minutes.
Yeah, like that's the thing that all of us Tottenham fans say is like we always say, Derek Dyer's playing a pretty good game, and then 85th minute comes by and you make a stupid challenge, and it kind of just erases everything. And I guess that's the life of a defender. Like if you're a defender and you lead to a mistake, that can constantly ruin your whole performance that you had for the past 85 minutes. But if you're a striker, and if like you have like 6 clear chances and you score 2 of them and you win the game 2-0, nobody really cares about the 4 other clear chances that you missed. But I guess that's the life of a defender. Like you're constantly on the knife edge. You can either have a great performance or you can have a shitty performance based on a single mistake. And like all of us Tottenham fans are saying that like he is probably like our second best defender to pair up with Romero, but we are still looking for another center back to pair up with Romero.
You need someone because he isn't quite good enough. Final question I got for you.
Yeah.
Looking at the league right now, you're sitting 5th. Man United, it was meant to be a shut shop on the top 4 this year, but Man United look awful. Yeah. I believe there's a space that's peering open now for the likes of yourselves, the likes of Leicester, Arsenal, Everton, maybe potentially even a Brighton or a Brentford if they have a bit of a Sheffield United style season.
Yeah.
Do you feel confident that you could push now for that top 4 with Man United opening the door?
Definitely. As long as Man United allows us to compete with them, I'm definitely confident that we can compete with them. But it all comes down to Man United, and I guess it's not really up to us kind of controlling our destiny. Unfortunately, it does count a lot upon a Man United kind of slipping off. It looks like the top 3 is pretty much certified, but Man United looks to. So it all comes down to them. If you guys keep letting us, we will take that opportunity, or another team will.
There we go. Abdul, top man. Thanks for coming on, bro, and having your say. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Make sure you've smashed that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Newcastle beaten at their own party Gate crashed by Tottenham Hotspur today, smashed it for all intents and purposes outside the opening 5 minutes where they looked very, very good indeed. Troubling times for Newcastle, even with this takeover to save their Premier League status. Tottenham, could a top 4 push beyond? I want to hear from you. Alan Clark is with us next to have his say on the terrace. Welcome back, bro. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. What was your take today on the performance and also the fact that you find yourselves, well, you're 5th, but you're joint 4th in the league now, 8 games in, considering you all wanted Nuno sacked 3 or 4 weeks ago. He still ain't doing bad, is he?
For me, it's still no judgment. Actually, judgment. I still want him out. I don't think he's doing all right at the moment. It looks good on paper. But if you scratch it, if you go below the surface, there's still a lot of problems there. I just don't think he's the guy that's going to win us anything or take us back to where we were, like it was under Poch. We started Spursy, finished Spursy, and for the most part, that was all good in between. I predicted 2-1 early in the week. That was with a team that we didn't think would have the Argentinian players. That was before the Son and Gil thing, so that's why I said 2-1. But I expected a win because we're playing against a really bad team with an even worse manager, so I expected the win. But it's just that last 15-20 minutes gave me West Ham vibes from last season, where it was just like we had chances, but it was like we weren't really going for it. And with Temen doing dire things, always causing us problems, and for me he's not good enough to be in that team. But yeah, I'll take the win, but I'm just still not. I don't think Nuno's the guy for us, so I'll continue with that. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope at the end of the season I can come on here and say, "Oh, Champions League football and the trophy." He's the guy. But I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't.
I do hear you on that. The judgment is still out. The football, it's very hard when you beat a team like Newcastle. I didn't really deep it until today that they hadn't won a game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just don't notice everything without sort of studying the teams, and they are really, really poor. There's no doubt about it. I think it's what you do in your upcoming, couple of games from here, how you can turn things around. But the one good thing is that Harry Kane scored, and if Harry Kane starts scoring, it gives you all sorts of opportunities. Like, you're going to win in the week. You then got West Ham, Burnley, Man United. Again, 3 very winnable games for Tottenham. It's almost maybe wait and see where you are then 10, 11 games in before that judgment comes in. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, if you base it on the season so far, like when we come up against, I'm not even going to put Arsenal in that because at the time they weren't that great, but when we come up against better opposition like Chelsea, who smashed us, even Arsenal, who are like a lower level, they still beat us because we had awful tactics against West Ham, against Man United. If we play like we did against Newcastle for half that game, we're still going to lose because there's problems in that team and the tactics aren't amazing. We played a bad Newcastle team. Their time will come because they're going to have the money. Their time will come in the future. But I'm not getting ahead of it. Kane finally shows up in the Premier League this season. That's great. I like the way the Spurs players reacted to his goal, and showing that, that everyone's behind him. But for me, I still think he wants to go. This is just like a full season for him. Do what he's got to do before he goes to Man City. I don't think he'll stay past that. I think, people saying, I still think he should go in January. Don't want negativity around the club. And I think every time he performs bad, fans will go back to that and it will cause problems. But, it was good to see him on the score sheet and, not chasing clout for 9 goals against minnows, so far this season. He's actually got a goal in the Premier League that counts. So,
yeah. I hear you on that. So we'll get your take quickly as well on Newcastle.
Yeah.
I understand, the majority of the team that I've spoken to, they know it's a 5 to 10 year period for them to start winning major trophies. But I do feel like a fair amount of attention is just maybe from a media point of view and massively from rivals that, yes, like they might go big in January, but I really feel like what they need to focus on right now is staying in the Prem.
Yeah,
because this Newcastle team this season is one of the worst teams in the Premier League I've ever seen.
It is. I've even been on when we've rated players and people are hyping about St. Maximin, and I just still don't think he's all that. I really don't. I think he's got skills and tricks, but he's just a slightly better version of Traore. I've said that, so I don't even think he's going to make it. If you look into the Newcastle team that they could possibly have 5 years down the line, not one of the Newcastle players are going to be in there. Let's be honest about it. So it's going to take a lot of time to build for them, and I think they need to, that money's going nowhere. They're going to have it for for the foreseeable future, like for however long the people who have taken over them are there. So they just need to start slow, get the right players in to help them survive, and then start again for next season and build slowly. That's what they're going to have to do, because all the top players that people are saying they're going to have, like Mbappe and Haaland, like stupid names been thrown out. That's not going to happen for some time. You're going to get, like you said, probably people like Martial, Lingard, a couple of other like Maddison, and that will help them stay in the league and progress up the table. But I think you'll see 2 or 3 seasons down the line when they'll be challenging for top 4, and then a season or 2 after that is where they might go, like they'll be challenging for the title. But it's going to come. It's just going to take some time.
Take them some time. I agree. Alan, top man for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you very much indeed. Sassir says, Terry, is this the right thing to do? People support a person from a country who beheaded the LGBT, etc. Is human rights only for developed countries? Look, I'm one of these people where I have my political beliefs. However, I don't go around condemning the actions of particular people and countries without doing a bit of research. And what I mean by that is this: to condemn and be like outraged by what they do, and that they shouldn't be allowed to buy a football club, they shouldn't be allowed to do X, Y, and Z, but then still to use other products and services that these people provide, or for my life to be benefited by the money of these said people, and for me to not be willing to give up those luxuries to them, like to moan about it but not give up the luxuries. That level of hypocrisy is just something that I don't practice. So it isn't to say that I condone what particular people are reported to be doing, but to kind of benefit from the services, the luxuries, the finances, or the privilege that you do that comes from said countries, said people, etc. But then moan about it, but not be willing to give those things up. I just don't participate in it. So I'm one of these people. If I was against if I'm to be against Newcastle's ownership, I can't fly on Boeing ever again. I can't use Starbucks. I can't use Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I can't use anything that they invest in. And if somebody's willing to do all those things, and only then will I take their gripe seriously. It's just how I am as a person. Because those things you can choose not to do any of those things. It's a little different if you're born and bred in a country where the government behaves in a certain way. You can't legally not pay tax in that country, as an example. You've got to participate to a degree. But there are certain things you have personal choice over. And I'm going to be really blunt about it, and people can change their opinion of me if they want. I'm not willing to give all those things up. Therefore, I'm not going to complain about the people that invest in them, because that just makes me a hypocrite. And I just won't do that. I just won't do it. So that's my take on it. I totally understand people's gripes and issues. I really do. But it just isn't something that I'm going to be delving into deeply on the football terrace, my friend. I missed a super chat from Paul Russ. I'm really sorry. Too many comments have come through. It says, how are Newcastle's owners being suspected of endangering people, but yet Roman isn't allowed into the country over a visa? I'm baffled. Human rights versus a visa, because either I'm missing something or I'm just stupid. Again, I don't know the political details or the official details behind it. The chairman that was there today isn't the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. I would also assume, by the way, that the Crown Prince probably has diplomatic sort of immunity or be able to pass into a country under a diplomatic passport, which means he couldn't actually be stopped anyway. But I don't know the law. So again, Paul, it isn't something I'm going to jump into. It's a battle that I've been trying to work out. Again, either I'm missing something or I'm just stupid. Yeah, I don't understand it either, my friend. Yeah, I don't. There we go. Undombele, man of the match, is what Lynch here says. I hear you on that. I would have given it to him. I think he deserves it. I think he was very, very good indeed. We use iPhones made by pretty much sweatshops, but that's the point. That's the point. It's like this. Am I against sweatshops? Yes. Do I buy iPhones? Yeah. Or so then I have to look at it and go, am I willing to give up all the tech that Apple has to offer? If the answer is no, then don't moan about sweatshops. Because again, I don't have to use Apple as a necessity. It's not drinking water. It isn't food. It isn't oxygen. I don't have to do it. I can use a different company. I've got 10 check. So that's my thing when it comes to this. You know, I always give you the example. The guy I worked with for 10 years at Barclays Bank. The guy was, I ended up growing as I got older to not be able to stand him because he was a loudmouth anti-capitalist, but he was a very successful investment banker. Go figure. That makes sense. I haven't got time for it. I ain't got time for it. But that's the last I'm going to say on it on this show today. Next on the show, Tom's going to be here with us now to have his say. Thomasin, I think is his full name here to have his say on the Terrace. Welcome, mate. What do you want to say?
I thought Newcastle were a bit poor today, and they played well. A good goal by Callum Wilson, but I was watching the game with my dad, and I thought they switched off. And I thought Tottenham weren't that great, but they were clinical. But yeah, and Steve Bruce it's the final coffin for me. I think he needs to go. Awful manager, the worst manager ever. And you know what? I checked that his winning ratio is like 20%.
I think Sky put it up on the screen. I think it's around about 30% for Newcastle. Yeah. It's not great. It's not great at all.
Yeah, because I'm an Arsenal fan, innit?
Yeah,
I'm an Arsenal fan, and obviously I want Arteta gone. I actually want him gone because he's coolest. But yeah, as for Newcastle fans, I'm happy for them because it shows they are a serious club. Because I remember back in the day, like when they had like Kevin Keegan, they used to get top 4 a lot back in the day. Now winning the league is going to take them 5 to 10 years. Like it'll take them time. They just need to get the right players, like get your Van der Beeks, your Martials, your James Madisons. Just get the right players and build around the team. They need to get a manager like a Conte, a Zidane, even Poch or a Ten Hag.
Do you think that's possible now though with this squad at this stage of their new life?
It's impossible because they are 19th in the league and they're fighting relegation yet again. With and some of these players are not that good. The players I rate Saint Maximum, Joe Willock, I rate him. I never wanted him to leave, but I thought of a manager got rid of him. I don't know why. That pissed me off. And I rate Callum Wilson, and I rate their 2 goalkeepers, Darlow and Dubravka. I rate them, but defensively they're not that great. And their midfield is shocking. When I was watching the game, their midfield was all over the place, shocking. And Joe Linton, he's absolutely awful. Awful player. Poor signing for them. Poor signing.
Yeah, look, I do you know what? The Joe Willock one's interesting because I kind of said to everybody I'd be surprised if he scored. If he even matched last season's goal tally, I'd be shocked. It just looks honestly, Newcastle got robbed. He had like this weird purple patch when he signed, but we all knew that he was. But we all knew he was going to fall away and be the average player that we saw at Arsenal, and it's definitely happened this season. Tom, top man, thanks for coming on the show, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Top man, thank you. Super chat here says, I'm hoping that fan is okay. Yeah, we all are praying for that fan, and fingers crossed. It's never a nice time for it to happen, but on the kind of party day and everything else, for that to happen to a Newcastle fan, I think just adds an extra blow. It's really, really horrible to see. So wishing him or her, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but a very, very speedy recovery indeed. I mean, I keep forgetting Joel Linton was 40 million quid. It's mad when you think about it. Like, it's absolutely mad. Let's do some more of these comments here. Let's have a little look here. Thoughts and prayers to that fan, absolutely. Joe Linton makes Bakayoko look like a prime Makalele. Yeah, I hear you on that, definitely. I know there's more about backstage, but look, we are at the end of today's show, so really appreciate everybody that has tuned in for us today. Before you leave, subscribe. Please turn on the bell notification buttons as well. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless, and I'll see you.